team owner Richard Childress addresses those Kyle Busch to RCR rumors. Is Chevrolet officially the frontrunner to land the two-time series champ? How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. I hope you're all doing well, especially those of you who braved the elements at Daytona at any point over the last 72 hours. I hope you guys have had a chance to dry off. I'm feeling much better than I was last night. I've had a chance to sit back, sleep on it. My stomach doesn't hurt anymore. Daytona is Daytona. A lot of craziness, a lot of controversy, but can't look past the fact that there was some great super speedway pack racing, until the rain hit. So I'm doing okay. The playoff grid is set later this week. We'll be previewing the playoffs. I'll give you guys my round by round predictions. I got a few videos in the works over the next few days, but today I wanted to touch on Kyle Busch. I know, but hey, I went all of last week without doing a Kyle Busch video. I don't think there was a Kyle Busch topic in any of my uploads last week. It was a nice cleanse of sorts. Of course, the Kyle Busch silly season, speculation, where will he race next year? That story continues to be kind of the top story, lurking in the background of all this playoff discussion at least, but there wasn't a whole lot of new news last week, just a lot of unfounded rumors swirling. This week, or should I say this past weekend though, Richard Childress, team owner, of course, of RCR, addressed some of those rumors head on, or I should say he was asked directly by reporter Jordan Bianchi about the rumors that Kyle Busch is linked to Richard Childress. Could Kyle Busch end up driving maybe the 8 car next season? Here's what Richard Childress said during the race winners press conference when asked by The Athletic's Jordan Bianchi. Here's what he said. Listen close.
Your team has been linked with Kyle Busch, speculation that he could be a potential landing spot. Any comment on that?
Not really. Kyle's a great race driver. He and I have talked. We put all our differences behind us a while back, and he's a great race driver, and he'll land him a good ride somewhere for sure.
With you?
You said that. I didn't.
Kudos to Jordan Bianchi for asking the question, but Richard Childress's answer, or sort of non-answer, is very interesting. First off, is Richard Childress Racing a legitimate potential destination for Kyle Busch? The answer to that question is yes, wholeheartedly. Sure, Tyler Reddick helped Austin Dillon lock himself into the playoffs yesterday, but Richard Childress has made it very clear he is not happy with the way Tyler Reddick announced his departure from the team. And he's made it clear to those in the industry, as we've talked about on this show, that he doesn't want Tyler Reddick around next year. Now, Reddick is under contract because RCR picked up his option. But if the boss man doesn't really want Reddick around, he's the kind of guy who can pull some strings, make some deals, perhaps send him to Toyota or 2311 a year early, especially if Kurt Busch is still unable to race. The point is, in my opinion at least, the 8 car does not have a set driver for 2023. So yes, Richard Childress Racing is still very much involved in the Kyle Busch sweepstakes. Remember this tweet from Adam Stern, Sports Business Journal, about 9 or 10 days ago? Busch drawing interest from teams outside of JGR. Teams that have been mentioned as possible fits in recent weeks include RCR, 2311 colleague, and Stewart Haas. He listed Richard Childress Racing first. That may not mean anything. I don't know that means they're first in the pecking order, but that means they're in the conversation. No question about it. More recently, today as a matter of fact, Bob Pockrass, writing for Fox Sports, wrote this. Both Richard Childress and Matt Colleague, owners of Chevrolet teams, have indicated that they have been among those who have had talks with Busch, but wouldn't give any hints of how close they are to a deal. So yes, both Adam Stern, Bob Pockrass, very reputable reporters saying that Richard Childress has had conversations with Kyle Busch. That means the 8 car is not set for next year. So this is a possibility.
Kyle's a great race driver. He and I have talked. We put all our differences behind us a while back, and he's a great race driver. And
that soundbite reminds me of what Kevin Harvick said, a few weeks ago when asked about, oh, would you like to have Kyle Busch as a teammate? Of course I would. He'd make my cars faster. He could change an entire organization. He could build them from the ground up. Like, Harvick had nothing but great things to say about Kyle Busch. This is a month or so ago, perhaps publicly courting Kyle Busch, trying to convince Busch to consider SHR, if SHR even has a seat available. Almirola now just signed a multi-year extension. To me, this is Richard Childress doing the exact same thing. I'm not convinced Kyle Busch has signed anything just yet, but I do think Chevrolet is the leading manufacturer. Between Colleague and RCR, I think they're the most likely to land Kyle Busch at this point, and Richard Childress publicly commending Kyle Busch, saying, oh, all of our past issues, water under the bridge now, he's a tremendous race car driver. That's Richard Childress either trying to lure Busch to his organization or making it maybe a little easier for Kyle Busch to sign that deal. That's all this is. Of course, there's that last part where he's asked, is he going to drive for you? And Richard Childress smiles, oh, you said that, not me. I'm not going to read anything into that. He's just messing around at that point. A couple weeks ago, I listed out a bunch of teams and discussed, how likely each of them were to perhaps sign Kyle Busch. I had Colleague up front. I had Stewart-Haas. This was before they confirmed Almirola was coming back. I mentioned Richard Childress Racing, but I had them a little lower than Colleague and SHR. I'd move RCR up higher. I think Chevrolet is trying to make some things happen behind the scenes, perhaps involving Kyle Busch Motorsports, bringing that Truck Series program into the Chevy development pipeline. I think Chevy is the clear frontrunner, but I don't want to completely rule out Toyota either. 2311 is still on the table. If Kurt Busch cannot race next year or is unwilling to race next year due to this head injury, the 45 needs a driver, even if it's just for 1 year. I mentioned the possibility that RCR lets Reddick go, or they negotiate a deal that brings Reddick over to Toyota a year early. That would solve that issue. But if that's unable to happen, if they can't get both sides to agree, someone needs to drive that 45. I think Kyle Busch would be, kind of plan B or plan C. David Wilson from Toyota Racing Development made it clear once again this weekend at Daytona that they have not given up on Kyle Busch. Here's what he said, speaking to the media. We'd be foolish not to put everything in play to keep him, Kyle Busch, in the family. That's what we continue to do. This is not just an offensive consideration. I don't want to race against a pissed off Kyle Busch. Wherever he lands, he's going to do some damage. Toyota has still not given up, even though it sounds increasingly less likely he'll stay at Joe Gibbs Racing. I think Ty Gibbs likely going to drive the 18 next year. 2311, still a possibility. Unfortunately for them, however, it sounds like Chevrolet has swooped in and become perhaps the leading contender to land Kyle Busch for next season. This isn't what Kyle Busch wants to be thinking about, wants to be talking about going into the playoffs, the most important 10 weeks of the season. RCR emerging as a legit contender is really interesting to me because some of these other options, Stewart-Haas Racing, like the 41 for example, that's a big team, a lot of resources, but feels like they've been on the decline the last couple of years. And that 41, whether it's Cole Custer, the team, who knows, has not been competitive. Colleague Racing, I love the environment that Matt Colleague, Chris Rice, that entire organization seems to have built and cultivated. They're contenders in the Xfinity Series. Allmendinger got them a win in the Cup Series last year. Justin Haley's looked okay this year in that 31, but I'm not convinced that is a team that's ready to take that next step and become a playoff contender in the near future. Kyle Busch would absolutely help get them there faster, but if I'm Kyle Busch, that is still a significant step down from what he's used to driving at Joe Gibbs Racing. So RCR joining this conversation, to me, is a small step above Colleague. They're still not what Joe Gibbs is. They don't have the resources. They haven't had the speed consistently like Joe Gibbs has had, but they're not as far of a step down, in my opinion, as Colleague or Petty GMS, or honestly even SHR, especially if it's the 41. Tyler Reddick has proven this year that the 8 car, when driven by the right driver, can win. He's won twice this year. He's an outside championship threat, in my opinion. Could you plug Kyle Busch into that same situation and get the same results? I'm not sure, but we know Kyle Busch is a generational talent, an all-time great driver. If anyone can replicate the success the 8 cars had this year, next year, it's Kyle Busch. As I've said before, I'm a fan. I want to see Kyle Busch, one of the best drivers in the sport, drive for a team that gives him the chance to win races, contend for championships, chase records. I keep talking about how he's 16 wins away from tying Dale Earnhardt on the all-time wins list. I want to see Busch get to that mark, or at least get close. So as a fan, I want to see Busch go to the most competitive car. I know he has to think about his future. He has to consider Brexton's future, his racing future. He has to consider Kyle Busch Motorsports. I get all that. But as a fan, I am most concerned about Kyle Busch, the driver. I want to see him race for a team. I want to see him running equipment that can take him to victory lane, that he can drag deep into the playoffs, contend for more championships. He's the only 2-time champion actively competing in the sport. He is an all-time great driver. Maybe not Mount Rushmore, but the point is, if he gets hot, he continues to perform the final 5-10 years of his career, he could one day be on that Mount Rushmore discussion, depending on who you ask. I want to see Busch get to that level. He's so close. I hate to see the final few years of his career kind of fizzle out in, a B-tier car or equipment. I want to see Kyle Busch contend for wins. And I think Richard Childress Racing, of all the teams we've mentioned recently, might be the best option for him. We will all continue to wait and see. So thanks for watching, y'all. Just wanted to touch on the latest Kyle Busch silly season rumors. Before we go, I didn't mention this in yesterday's video, but I do want to give a shout out to a friend of the channel, Ryan Vargas, Xfinity Series driver for JD Motorsports. He finished a career best 6th at Daytona, I guess early Saturday morning, late Friday night. I was super excited for him. It was also really cool for this channel because he was carrying the Out of the Groove colors on the left and right rear quarter panels. A lot of fans of the show who took advantage of that NASCAR Pole Position magazine offer from a few weeks back got to ride along with Ryan Vargas to a top 10 at Daytona. I just thought that was really, really cool, and I really appreciate all of you guys who took advantage of that deal, who supported Vargas, supported the show. As messy as that Xfinity race was at times, especially late, it was really cool to see some of those underdogs like Ryan Vargas land career best finishes. So just wanted to give Ryan Vargas a shout out and highlight that for those of you who maybe didn't know or missed it. Just a pretty cool connection to this show. Really appreciate Vargas running that decal. Anyway, y'all, that's gonna do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We talk NASCAR pretty much every single day, Sunday through Sunday, 7 days a week. As always, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters as well. Couldn't do the show without your tremendous support each and every month. I greatly appreciate it. We'll be back again soon. Like I said, got some playoff preview type stuff to discuss in the coming days. Really excited to look at the stats, look at the rounds, each individual track, and try to piece together the perfect playoff bracket. Thanks for watching, you guys. I'll see you in the next video.